Greetings, I'm Joe Marella, and I was delighted to be asked to contribute to the Adjudicators video library. You know, for years we've had these webinars, and I've signed up for almost every one, and there wasn't one that I didn't walk away from saying, wow, that's something I really didn't understand as well, or got a new perspective. So I think the video library is going to be great. When they asked me to select a topic, immediately I jumped to tone of voice. Why? Because every single adjudicator, whether you're just beginning to be an adjudicator or you've had many years of experience, this topic is very important. Whether you judge guard or percussion or overall effect, etc., all the way through, every adjudicator should consider the tone of voice. You know the irony? We drive 2 hours to get to a competition. You see the field over my shoulder here. We're taping this where we spend a lot of our time and a lot of our activities during the fall season. We get there an hour before, so now we've got 3 hours and we haven't even begun the adjudication process. And yet, for me, the last link in the chain isn't your experience, isn't your knowledge, isn't the fact that you instructed or created, but if you don't tag that or connect that with tone of voice, you probably won't be as effective as you normally could be. And you know the difficult part about tone of voice? You have to fill up that energy each and every time, each and every band. These kids work so hard, so many hours, and all they want is feedback, some education, some ways and recommendations on what they could do better, in addition to the ranking and the rating. And we do all that, and we have to keep breathing and keep our energy up so that it sounds friendly and persuasive and enthusiastic. Not an easy job, whether you're an adjudicator or anybody else. And you've heard the people in your walks of life. They pick up the phone and they say hello, and you go, oh, this is not a good time to speak to that person. They're a little annoyed, they're agitated, they're aggressive. And the same thing can be said on the opposite end when you're friendly and when you're enthusiastic. It makes it so much better for the communication to evolve. Here's an interesting statistic. If you took your words and your tone of voice, and if there was a difference between the two, according to the research, 86% of the time, the person will trust the tone over the words you use. That comes from a book called Silent Messages. Tone of voice, you have to fill up with every band, but kind of remember that it's a difficult job, just like bringing all your experience to the fore, but without that last link in the chain, it might be disappointing for you. And now some tips on how to improve your tone of voice. First, remember to pause and breathe frequently. A voice that's starving for air can never sound sincere or pleasant. Every time you make a comment, pause for a few seconds between those statements. It will give the listener time to digest or to process the information. Learning to pause and breathe takes real discipline. Pausing for even a second can feel like an eternity. It's impossible to bring any kind of emotion into your voice without pausing and breathing. Gesturing and moving around also affect tone of voice. When you gesture, you bring additional air into your lungs. That extra spurt of air protects the voice from being a monotone. The bigger the gesture, the more air you will bring into your lungs, and the better able you'll be to bring emotion into your voice. Smiling does a lot to add warmth to a voice. When you smile, the vocal cords are pulled differently, and the voice automatically sounds friendlier. A voice needing water will become strident and raspy. It's recommended that you lubricate your voice with some water each half hour. Caffeinated drinks like soda, coffee, and tea are diuretics and will actually take moisture away from your voice, making it difficult to sound your very best. To produce a voice that bands will want to hear, remember the following. Pause and breathe between each statement. Use gestures. Smile. Move around and drink lots of water. In closing, I want to mention the fact that each one of these bands, for them, it's opening night. I just got done directing South Pacific, and we did a run of 20 different shows. By the 10th show, I had to remind the cast, listen, you may be a little tired, you may be a little frustrated, but for these folks that attend tonight, it's their opening night. So approach each band as if it's their opening night, give as much energy and bring as much tone to your voice as you possibly can. And they will enjoy listening to you, and they'll get more out of your tapes than they did otherwise. This is Joe Marella from another high school stadium saying, see you in the fall.